Okay, thanks. I'm sure you enjoyed those yummy biscuits at the back there, and had some tea and coffee. We now have Denise Nicholson, who is going to share with us something on the issue of the copyright in the open access environment. A little bit about Denise. Denise did her undergraduate studies in UNISA, and she has a Master of Law degree from WITS University, and her title was Accommodating Persons with Disabilities in South African Copyright Law, a link to copyright. She also has completed WIPO, UNISA Intellectual Property Program courses. She's worked at WITS Library for a long time, and the current position is Scholarly Communications Librarian. She's also recognized locally and abroad for the positive role she has played in promoting access to knowledge, open access, and copyright awareness. In 1998 and 2000, she was the convener of 2 copyright task teams representing the higher education and library sectors. These teams challenged and they stopped proposed amendments to the Copyright Act and regulations going through. They were more, the acts that were being proposed were more restrictive and would have had a negative impact on education and the libraries. So we see in Denise quite a bit of an activist in terms of campaigning for the rights of academics. So she continues to campaign more balanced copyright laws in South Africa and other developing countries. She's been working with the Department of Trade and Industry, looking at how copyright affects access to information and the limitations and expectations that can be included in the copyright amendments later this year. And I think maybe it's something that people as academics we need to become a little more aware of some of the legislation and where that legislation is housed in terms of the work that we do. She's also been a policy advisor in the African Copyright and Access to Knowledge Project, which studied copyright laws and practices in 8 African countries, including South Africa. She's won many prestigious awards for her work, and she's a member of the South African National Council for the Blind's Copyright Alliance, and a member of the SA Ministry of Arts and Culture Legal Deposit Committee. She has many publications. She's presented papers at various conferences, and she has a free newsletter called Copyright and A2K Issues, which over 7,000 people read. I'm not sure how many people from DUT read that copyright newsletter. Maybe after hearing the speech today, you might want to subscribe to that newsletter. Thank you, Denise.
Thanks very much. Good morning, and I want to thank DUT very much for the invitation and the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm speaking on rather a difficult topic. Not many people want to hear about copyright. In fact, what happens with most projects, particularly digitization in libraries, they go through all the whole process of getting everything ready and digitizing, and then they say, oh my word, we've forgotten copyright. It's unfortunate. And by that time, they wasted so much time preparing. Had they just got the copyright issues right, half the work would be done, the second part wouldn't be so difficult. Sometimes they put stuff up and then suddenly realize we can't make it accessible because there's a copyright. So I do warn you that with any digitization or making copies of any work, please consider copyright before anything else. I'm really just going to give do's and don'ts about copyright. I'll talk about authors' rights, and I'll give you some history. Well, I won't be history, it'll be an update of what has been happening with the DTI at the moment. And considering that it was 1998 to 2000 that we stopped legislation, I've been lobbying ever since. And I've been like a bull terrier at the DTI saying, I just won't let go. And they've got tired of being the agency, and now they're actually on my side. I went to a meeting the other day, and I'll tell you more about it, but they clearly come over to a lot of our thinking, so that's bad news. Previous speakers have heard a lot about open access, but in a nutshell, open access is free, immediate, full text, permanent, online access with limited or no copyright restrictions. Open access opens up knowledge on a global stage. Copyright law creates barriers to accessing information. Contract law and licenses very often override copyright exceptions. So what you can do in the copyright law, you may not be able to do because of contract law or strict licenses. But to make material open access, copy rules unfortunately do apply. You cannot get away from it. So what is copyright? Copyright is a form of intellectual property, and we all know that intellectual property includes patents, trademarks, geographic indicators, designs, and copyright. It's a bundle or a suite of exclusive rights which the copyright law gives to authors and creators to protect their original works for a certain period of time. The term of protection in South Africa is the lifetime of the author plus 50 years from the end of the year in which the author dies. You may think this is a long period, but the rest of the world is going to 70 or has gone to 70. America, through their free trade agreements, have been pushing countries, including Morocco, to adopt, and Australia, to adopt a 70-year period and a much more restrictive copyright regime. We've been lobbying for 50, and the government has assured us that they won't raise it. But a lot of in that project that was mentioned, the African Copyright and Access to Knowledge Project, we found that a number of African countries that have gone to 70 years have realized it's not helping them. Because essentially they use intellectual property from other countries, developed countries, and that extra 20 years they're paying royalties to developed countries. So the money's going out their countries anyway. And in fact, I think it was Mozambique and Morocco in their research said that they wish they could go down back to 50. The 50 is really to benefit beneficiaries of the authors and creators, so it gives them a bit of time after the authors died. The publishers also have copyright on editions for 50 years from the date of publication of their books. Copyright is promoted as a way of encouraging creativity and for authors to create new works and also to generate some sort of income. There's no copyright protection in unwritten ideas. So if you've got a really nice idea and you share it with someone and share it with them, there's no copyright in it. The moment you express it in some sort of writing or painting or sculpture, the copyright protection comes in. And there's no copyright in general facts or news of the day. So I'm not sure what happened to Oscar, but the news about Oscar is the news of the day. 3 years. Did he get 3 years? Okay, let's see. Okay. Individual political speeches. So if Jacob Zuma can talk here, it would be in the public domain. You could use his speech, but you would need to acknowledge it. You can translate it and do what you like because it's public in the public domain. But if you made a collective work of his speeches, then you would have copyright in that work. Government official texts, the government printer in the public domain, all legislative and administrative work from the government is in the public domain. But the website and some of the departmental collections are copyright protected. But generally, you're allowed to use it for non-commercial educational purposes. Limited or no copyright protection in Creative Commons licenses, as we've mentioned before, and other open source licenses. But do remember that if you select a Creative Commons license, you need to perpetuate that license. So if you select a certain one, the next person that uses it also use that license. And they are irrevocable. You can't revoke them. Material made freely available by copyright owners. Some people just disregard copyright, although it's there. They say, I want people to use my work and do what you like with it, but just technology. And then open access and open education resources. we're encouraging, at WITS, we're encouraging people to try using open access and open education resources wherever possible in your teaching and research, to avoid having to apply for copyright and to worry about copyright. And later, I'll give you a LibGuide that I've got a number of LibGuides where I've got a lot of open access and open education resources that you can find. When using other people's work, we must acknowledge their intellectual property and keep within the law. Do you know that without permission, you may not copy a whole journal issue or a whole book? This includes out-of-print books, library and textbooks, exercise books, test booklets, answer sheets, and similar material. Do you know that it is illegal to copy sheet music, commercial audio tapes, films, videos, CDs, or obviously to buy them at the street corners? Students always laugh at that point. And I explained to them why. I said, first of all, it perpetuates crime on our streets because the people selling them are trying to make a living, but they're actually working for crime syndicates. Secondly, it puts the prices up in the shops for you and me who want to buy the original. And thirdly, it's taking away the income from the people who are trying to create those who have created those works. You need permission before you can place large sections of text or whole copyright works onto the web. Whether you're putting something on a personal blog, Facebook, social media, or an institutional repository. Remember, there are also privacy issues. Employers now go to Facebook and LinkedIn and look at what sort of person you are if you applied for a job. If you've got some strange stuff there, you may get the job. Also be aware of defamation. Some people have put some quite nasty things on Facebook. And I think there are about 3 cases now in South Africa where they've sued and won their case for defamation. Also remember that whatever you do put on the web is a footprint that you leave forever. It's a digital, particularly Facebook and LinkedIn and social media. Once you put it in, it's a tattoo. It cannot be removed. Remember that if you're doing research or your students are putting their thesis or dissertations onto the institutional repository, make sure that they have applied for copyright for any copyright material they include in their thesis or dissertation, because they are now putting it out on the web, they're essentially publishing it. A lot of students don't know that. In the old days, it was fair dealing where you could just acknowledge and put a copy in or library and have 4 made copies in total. Now you're basically publishing it. So again, try using open access or open educational resources for your own works instead of someone else's, where possible, when you're including material in your thesis or dissertations. You need permission to adapt or translate other people's works, because in the process you could change the context and affect moral rights or reputation of the author. Or if you need to convert material into Braille for a blind student or into a more visual format for the deaf, you would need to get permission. And that is why I actually did my master's in accommodating the sensory disabled in copyright law. And I've sent it to the DTI, and I hope that they will, incorporate some of those recommendations. Institutions need to apply for permission when making course packs, or when placing material on a short loan in the library, or if they are putting it onto any web e-learning system like Blackboard, Sakai, or any other platform. Although the authors have some exclusive rights, the law does give you some limitations and exceptions. They are limited, probably in relation to a number of Southern African countries. At least we have the most flexible legislation. In terms of Section 12, we have a term called fair dealing. It's not fair use like the American criteria, although we have asked the DTI to please consider fair use for the future. In this case, you don't need permission for these purposes. For research or private study, for personal or private use, criticism or review, or reporting current events, for example, in a newspaper or broadcast. You're allowed to quote a fair portion, not pages and pages, or by way of illustration for teaching purposes specifically, you're allowed to put stuff in a PowerPoint copyright material and you could show it to the audience. But if you want to circulate it, you need to get permission, or remove those slides, or use open access material. How much may you copy? The fair dealing is not defined purposely because every situation is different. But you need to consider the context and size in relation to how much you're taking. Is it fair or not? If it was your work, would you say this was fair amount you're taking? But the general amount that is allowed by the publishing industry is 10% of one chapter of the book. One article from a journal issue, so if you've got 5 journal titles, you could take an article from each of them, but not 2 or 3 from the same issue. And a full case study or full law report, not 10% of it. You basically need to use your discretion when using other people's work. Section 13 exceptions, these are the exceptions for education and libraries. Individuals should make their own copies where possible, but we know that there's circumstances where someone else needs to do it. Lecturers or tutors may give limited single photocopied handouts to students in a classroom situation, and they be single handouts, and so many in a term. The student may make one copy of a reasonable portion of a work for lecture at his or her request for use in a lecture, research, or teaching purposes. And a librarian may make one copy for a user, or get one from another library through interlibrary loans, but may not make multiple copies without permission. And I'm giving you my lib guide where you can find out how much you can copy, when you don't, etc. The access on the internet, access may be free, but copying may not be. A lot of people think that everything out there is in the public domain. In fact, I spoke to a lecturer the other day who was very upset. She prepared a very nice PowerPoint, she put it to her class, and somehow she put it on there because she wanted to make it open access. A lecturer from another university at a conference presented her whole PowerPoint and just changed the name. And she put up her hand and said, "Excuse me, that's my work." Presenting. He said, "But it's in the public domain. It's up there." You should know that most material on the web is copyrighted. Some websites have very strict copyright conditions, others allow free usage, downloading, etc. E-newspapers sometimes put teasers, like one article you can read, and then if you want to read the rest, you have to subscribe. The government website, as I mentioned, is mainly for non-commercial or educational purposes. Remember, emails and letters also have copyright protection, but there is an implied license to use it for fair dealing. Just be careful if you do circulate someone's email, just be sure what you're sending out. Rather get permission if necessary, depending on the content, because you also could be infringing privacy. E-databases, a lot of our libraries now have a lot of e-databases. Unfortunately, copyright is overridden by the contract law, because they all have different licenses and different conditions. That is something we've also asked for in the new amendments, please to not allow contract to override copyright exceptions. The copyright exception should be the default. Digital rights management or technological protections measures, which were mentioned yesterday. These are devices that publishers embed in their digital material, so you can't copy or they restrict you in some way. And just some examples, if you press the print button, it grays out, means you can't copy at all. Sometimes I printed an article and page 1 and 5 prints out and the rest is blank, or it prints out garbage. That is a way they stop you from copying. If you buy a DVD in America and bring it back here, it may not work. It could be a geographical code embedded, so you can only watch it in America. Youngsters today, if they're doing the learner's and driver's license, you can get a disc, and you put it into a piece of hardware. You can only use it on that hardware with a password, and after 18 months, it implodes itself. It doesn't work anymore. Many textbooks, e-textbooks now, and particularly used in America, they are just used for a year and then they stop working. So these are all devices that they stop you using. They also extend these rights into hardware. I've got an old HP printer. If I put in a foreign toner, it tells you won't work, alien cartridge. I now fill it with ink, and every now and then it tells you alien cartridge. So the new printers have a device where they have a chip which tells you it's copied 1,000 copies, no more. You can't fill up for anything. It tells you that you've done your machine and you can buy a new cartridge. So it can extend to hardware as well. Always ask permission for using or reproducing other material, particularly when making multiple copies, digitizing, and placing on the web, because you're essentially publishing it. Always acknowledge sources, even if the works are free. I'm giving you a number of places where beyond fair dealing provisions you need to apply for permission. Obviously, for online material, you wouldn't go to Delro because they only deal with photocopies. But I've given you the number of different rights owners that you would approach, and you will get copies of my slides. Authors have exclusive rights in the copyright, and these are to reproduce the work in any manner or form, to publish the work if it has not been published before, to perform the work in public, to broadcast the work, to cause the work to be transmitted in a diffusion service, and to make the adaptation of the work. And this also, all these conditions also apply to a translation or adapted work as well. The protection of the moral rights of an author is based on the view that a created work is in some way an extension of the author's personality. The moral rights are therefore personal to the author. Even though the author can sign over all their rights to a third party, they cannot sign over their moral rights. These rights give the author the right to be named as the author of the work and the right to protect the work from distortion or mutilation. If an author, that includes a research student, has contributed a substantial part to a co-authored article, chapter, or other work, then both the authors should be named on the work. An author can elect not to be named as an author. They may be a ghost writer or wish to remain anonymous. I have a number of queries from postgrad students who say, I've written an article, I've done my thesis and dissertation, my supervisor now wants to write an article, but he wants to leave my name. That is a form of copyright infringement and plagiarism because they're presenting something they haven't done. If they have done it, but the student has done the majority part of the work, then they should at least be co-authors. And it depends on schools and rules as to who's first and last author. Copyright authorship rests with, depending on the different works, rests with different people. Literary, musical, and artistic works, the person who first makes or creates the work is the author. In photographs, the person responsible for the composition of the photograph, not necessarily the person who takes the picture, the camera. Sound recordings and film, the person who made arrangements for the making of the recording and film. Broadcast is the first one who broadcasted it. Published editions is the publisher of that first edition. Program carrying signals, the first person who emits the signal to a satellite. And computer programs, the person who exercises control over the making of the program. So it may not necessarily be the copyright, the computer program, it might be the systems analyst or the manager of that project who actually has authorship. Authors and creators generally own the copyright, but there are circumstances when it belongs to a third party. In an institutional policy, many South African institutions now claim the copyright of an intellectual property of their students and staff. In a newspaper or employer, in the course and scope of one's employment, everything you do is belongs to the employer. And by commission, I'll talk a bit more about that, but it's a possibility of commissioning or signing copyright. Authors do not have to sign over their rights to a publisher. For years and years, academics have sent the publisher's form, haven't even read it, signed it, and sent it back because they want to be published. But we encourage you to please argue or negotiate with the publisher, especially if you're a senior publisher, author, to say, I know I have rights, I want to actually retain some rights. And there's a SPARC author's addendum that's introduced in a slightly modified form of it. Unfortunately, academics are a bit nervous to use it. I've had two academics come back and say, I've tried to use it, but all the publisher says is, don't worry, we'll publish your paper in an publication, but you need to pay $3,000. I then just say to them, publish in the normal way and put your copy in the repository, and at least it's open access for free. I've also given some tips on how to negotiate with the publisher, just to get them to realize that you do have rights. Even if you have to sign over your rights in the end, just let them know that authors are aware that they do have rights. Persons who the person who commissions and pays for the taking of a photograph, painting, or drawing of a portrait has authorship in that work. There's two types of licenses, the non-exclusive and exclusive licenses. A non-exclusive license may be written or verbal, or may be inferred from conduct, and may be revoked at the author's discretion. There can be a number of non-exclusive licenses given for one work. For instance, a writer may assign the rights to one publisher to publish in the USA, and to another publisher the right to publish, say, in the UK, and a third the right to translate the work into another language. Copyright ownership is retained by the author, so only certain rights are licensed to the third party for a certain period or for the full copyright term, as the case may be. There are also open source licenses such as Creative Commons, which gives authors far more flexibility and control over their works. An exclusive license is a license that gives the author's exclusive right to a third party and must be in writing. It precludes anyone else, including the author, from using the work without permission. So if you give an exclusive license to your publisher, you have no rights on your work at all. If you want to translate or have it published somewhere else, you have to get permission each time, even to using your teaching. The same exclusive license cannot be given to two different people, but it could, for instance, be different exclusive licenses to translate the same work into two different languages. Copyright can pass to an heir by inheritance as an asset in the author's estate. Sometimes someone might leave a work in a will or may inherit it to the estate, and if it's an unpublished work, they will usually inherit the copyright in that work. Transfer also occurs when the copyright holder is insolvent, so it goes into the insolvent estate, and the estate is taken over and distributed among the holders' creditors. An assignment is a transfer of full rights, as I mentioned, must be in writing and must be signed by the assigner, which is the author. Purchasing the work does not guarantee ownership, so the library can buy as many books as they can, but they don't own the copyright or intellectual property within those covers of the books. Copyright belongs to the author. Copyright belongs to the author or institution, depending on the policy, until an assignment of copyright is signed over, a written agreement. Once copyright has been assigned to the publisher, the author retains no rights except moral rights. The agreement with the publisher, verbally or in writing, is that they will have the right to publish and disseminate the work, invest in it, and sell it. If copyright is not assigned, then there is room to negotiate in terms of the published contract itself or by adding more to the addendum. It does not mean that the author could just go ahead and post versions of the article online or within an institutional repository without upsetting the publisher and compromising the offer to publish. In other words, the author could be in a position where she still holds the copyright because it has not been assigned in writing, but she has verbally or in writing agreed to give publication rights to that particular publisher. So very often we think, oh, we still hold copyright, we can just go and pop the copy onto our institutional repository, but we may be bound by verbal understanding of the publisher, or we may have already signed it over. There are strong arguments for not assigning copyright, and I think that we need to tell and inform South African academics and authors to make all the publishers aware that they do have rights. As I said, once you've signed over your rights, you don't have any. If copyright is not assigned, there's room to maneuver. Our copyright law does not allow format shifting or digitization, so libraries at the moment are in a very difficult position where we have material that is fragile, that can't be used by hanging or digitized for preservation and access. We have, at WITS, we're doing a project at the moment, we've got over 1,000 VHS tapes, and to convert them to DVD, we have to write to each and every producer to say, can we please convert them? And most of the requests that I've sent out have either been ignored, or I get people writing back saying, no, you can't do it. And then I'll write back and say, well, can you get permission? I get a single sentence, you can't do it. So that is another thing that we've been asking the government for, is format shifting, and they have agreed that they will be including that in the next version of our copyright law. We need permission before placing material on a website or institutional repository. As much as we'd like to put stuff up there, we do have to be aware of the copyright implications. Many institutions overseas now use the immediate deposit delayed access option, which means as soon as the author gets a letter to say we will publish, they put a copy of their manuscript, peer-reviewed final version or postscript onto their repository. They don't make it accessible immediately. They consider, they first have a look and see what is allowed with copyright permission, or they would write and ask for permission. Sometimes there are embargoes. I think also is 6 to 12 months on the items. You can't make it open until that period is closed. But they do use a request button where they put a button on the repository. So if I put up my paper but it's closed, you might still press the button and ask for a copy in the meantime. So access is allowed, but individually. Many publishers now allow deposits in the institutional repository in different versions. And I refer you to the Symposium website, which gives a lot of the copyright policies of publishers. I have been trying for something like 4 years to get the South African publishers to do something about their policies, and Sherpa has offered to host it, but they're very nervous about giving any idea of what their policy is, but I don't think they've got any policies. Also suggested they put it on PASA, which is the Publishers Association of South Africa's website, and to date it isn't, they haven't put up anything. But I think hope through Ina that she can do it from ASIF's side, because we need those policies up. I'm just going to give you the websites for the publishers that do allow the published PDF version. And interestingly, about a month ago, I gave a talk and there were 521 publishers that allowed it. I looked again and there's 613, so they're already increasing. So if you publish in any of these journals, you can put your final PDF published version up. These are publishers who allow the postprint, which is your final peer-reviewed last version that you send to the publisher, and there's a lot of them as well. These are publishers who allow the preprints and the postprints, the new publishers. And these only allow the preprint. That is a working document, which is nice to have there, but if you've got a more advanced version, rather put that up. But needless to say, some people that have just put a preprint up get a lot of hits. We put, in our early days of our repository, we don't have a policy, so it's a very slow process. We do it sort of in an ad hoc way at the moment. But when people have put a preprint up, they're quite surprised to see that within a month or two they've had so many hits just on their preprint. So people are looking. These are publishers that do not support any form of any version in the institutional repository. And then copyright and digitization, as I say, at the beginning of the digitization project, consider the copyright issues first. There are a number of things that you need to consider. First of all, look at the public domain stuff that is out of copyright that you can digitize straight away. Look at your fragile stuff rather than your regular stuff, so that you protect and preserve those. And then move through towards the down the list to the copyrighted material. But I've written a chapter on copyright for this NRF project, and I've given various sort of guidelines and tips on how to address copyright issues for digitization. And then I've got a little guide on digitization, preservation, and digital curation, and data management. And there's a lot of information, a lot of guides and that, so please use this as a source and resource. Then these are two little guides I've got on copyrights. The first one gives you ideas on how to use a copyright law in South Africa. The second one is all about copyright generally, articles on it, treaties, legislation, about the world. Then I'll give you a number of open access and scholarly resources. The Creative Commons site, there's a lot of free material on the Creative Commons website. Not just text, but video clips, music. Some people actually use Creative Commons to market their material. They'll put a cut of music or artwork up with a button to buy the rest of their work. And it's a way of marketing also. You might want to market a book. You can put a chapter up and say, read the rest, and put a button to Amazon, for example. This is the accredited DHE team journals at I think it was J-Meet this year. With a lot of open access journals there. These are my websites, the open access resources. There's lots of open access journals, images, plenty. The open education resources and the open education resources for humanities and sciences. I've tried to put them under topics so it's easier for students and staff to find them, but I keep adding. There's so much out there that you can use. I've also developed a scholarly communication look guide and a scholarly research look guide, which is very useful for publishing and for research generally. When I was doing my research, I thought, you know, there's so much that you can gather and learn, put it up on a website and help others. And I've got things from how to do research, how to do an abstract, how to do a literature review, how to write better. There's lots and lots of useful things. So also telling students about that. WITS is WITS's institutional repository, and of course it's all open access. The project Gutenberg, if you're looking for a classic that you can't find anywhere else, which is out of copyright, you're bound to find it there. My daughter's doing English 3, and she found about 4 of her secrets on Project Gutenberg and download a whole lot. The Director of Open Access Journals was mentioned yesterday. They're going through an accreditation looking at higher criteria, so the ones that we tick are the standard recommended ones. They're slowly moving through others. As we mentioned yesterday, there is a problem with the Mediterranean Journal of Social Sciences, and Ina and Ina independently wrote to the Directory of Open Access Journals to warn them. It was also on the predatory list. James Beale at the University in America keeps a list of predatory publishers. He's a bit anti-open access, so people are a bit worried that he might be too harsh on open access predatory publishers. But it is worth looking at his list. So if you just do a search predatory publishers, you'll find a list that he's kept, and he updates from time to time. I'll give you some free academic resources, a registry of open access repositories, and the directory of open access repositories, so you can find material around the world. Thank you very much. Sorry, before I finish, I need to follow on what you knew with the DTI. I've been nagging the industry since 1998. Had very unpopular with the publishing industry in 2000, where we stopped 2 lots of restrictive copyright law. I even got a very strong letter from someone from PASA to say I was personally declaring war against the publishing industry. And for some time I was the really hated one person still in ex-Delro, William Peavy. But interesting, the person who wrote the letter to me saying that I was declaring war against the publishing industry is more involved in open access than I am. And we're both pretty much on the right side at the moment. You might have heard of Eve Gray. She's at UCT and working very much in the open access environment, so that's wonderful. I just every so often write the DTI and say, when are you going to change the copyright laws? Every opportunity I get at conferences, workshops, I ask them, I even challenge them. I had a good opportunity to speak at the African Intellectual Property Forum, which is the international conference held in Pretoria, I think it was last year. On the podium, I had someone from DTI and from the Department of Arts and Culture, and I stood up there and I said, since 1998, we have been asking them, why aren't you doing anything about it? And I challenged, because the minister is starting talk, he said that they've been working on intellectual property for the last 2 years. And I said, to be truthful, you've been working since 2000. It's not 2 years. Because they promised us in 2000 that they would do it. They've only just done it this year. Good for them, they've done it at last. But now they said that it should have gone to Parliament in September. There's been a delay because I have subsequently found out that the Department of Disabilities and Social Work had held it back because they want some more issues dealt with about disability constraint. But once the IP policy is in place, then they can amend the copyright law. And I wrote and sent quite a lot of documents, and I said, I see that in your budget speech this year, you've said that the copyright law will be amended in this financial year to do with collection societies and royalties for authors. What about all the things we've been asking for? Research, education, libraries, archives, and disabled, and digitization. So they invited me to quite a high-powered meeting. The legal team was there, the copyright officer, they gave me a long time to actually give them a whole lot of practical examples. I gave them very flat practical examples that affect us every day of how copyright affects us. And then they were very pleased to hear that I have people, lawyers who can actually do some legalese writing for them for some of the things that we want. But they did say that they will address orphan works, because orphan works is a very difficult problem for us, where you can't find rights owners, you can't use it without permission. And the UK and America have also been trying to address this difficult issue. They will address format shifting. They will address the disabled, because South Africa supported the Marrakesh Treaty, which was granted in 2012. I was very involved in that through IFLA and the South African National Council too, where they managed to get a treaty for a worldwide treaty for blind and visually impaired. And because South Africa supported that, they still have to sign it, but we're trying to encourage them to at least put the provisions in copyright law at the moment, when they amend it. There's an audiovisual treaty, which we're not maybe keen about. It's more for rights owners, but that's something that they will also look at. But essentially, they said they would do a lot of the things that we've been asking for all along. And I think they've come to realize that we are a developing country, whether we like it or not. And we do have some issues that we have to address. And they're following the development agenda in South Africa too, not only at WIPO. So I think they are going to include, or hope that they will include quite a lot of the things that we do want. I'm still sitting at their ankles, and every few weeks I like to say, when is it coming, when is it coming? So hopefully they will publish it out, sometime before the end of the year. And please, when it is published, have a look at it, comment on it, say what you think, say where you think it should be changed, particularly looking at our needs. And I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Denise, there's lots of web addresses and things on this presentation. I'm sure through Professor Stewart we'll be able to get some copies of this information